Well, the theatrical adaptation of the video game Uncharted is finally coming out in theaters this weekend. It stars Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, directed by Ruben Fleischer. I'm going to let you know what I thought of this one next. Hey everyone, it's the Outlaw John Rocha here with a review for you for the theatrical adaptation of Uncharted. You know, this beloved video game franchise. Instead of Nolan North, who does voice Nathan Drake in the video game movies, we have Tom Holland sitting in for Nathan Drake here as a younger Nathan Drake, the beginnings of Nathan Drake, with Mark Wahlberg coming in as Victor Sullivan, or Sully, for those of you who are fans of the game here, as basically his mentor, but also his friend. And coming in as the villain is Antonio Banderas as Santiago Moncada. We also have Sophia Ali as Chloe Fraser, Tati Gabrielle as Braddock, and for you Last of the Mohicans fans, Stephen Waddington comes in as the Scotsman. An interesting collection of actors under Ruben Fleischer's direction. Ruben Fleischer having done the Zombieland movies and, of course, the first Venom movie, which I wasn't a big fan of. So I wasn't sure what to expect coming into this. It's a video game franchise. You know, the video game movies don't usually do well, although Sonic, I think, is a good film, and Detective Pokemon is a good film as well. But this one kind of pushing a boulder uphill. Some people were upset about some of the casting here, weren't a big fan of Tom Holland, and especially Mark Wahlberg coming in as Sullivan's. I saw some people wanted Nathan Fillion. I saw some people wanted George Clooney. I saw all kinds of names being bandied about, but the studio wanted to go a bit younger. So going with Tom Holland and going with Mark Wahlberg, not that Wahlberg's necessarily younger, but in comparison to Holland, there is not that much of an age gap between the two guys in terms of being able to coexist as a friendship and as a mentor-mentee situation. So I had my mind wide open. I've only played the game a couple of times with my fellow geek buddy Shannon McClung, but I wasn't a big, devotee of the game, but I know it carries a lot of weight with those of you who are fans of the Uncharted game. So kind of wide open, went in, and I have to say, a majority of the film is actually enjoyable. It's not great. It's not going to blow the doors off. It's not innovative in any way, shape, or form. But the film itself overall works for me. Why? Because of Tom Holland. Tom Holland's performance is so good in this movie. You can tell that there's a real care and a real dedication he brings to the character of Nathan Drake. I think he understands, just as he did with Peter Parker slash Spider-Man, that there's a section of people, there are millions of people who really love this character, want to see it done well. And I think he does an excellent job as a young Nathan Drake. We get a little backstory with him and his brother. We get his, his kind of confidence, his cockiness. We're already seeing a very cocky, knowledgeable Nathan Drake here. And of course, coming in, Mark Wahlberg as a mentor, hiring him for this job. They're going up against Antonio Banderas' character. They're trying to find Magellan's treasure, these 18 men, the legend of these 18 men, and the stack of gold that they think is about $5 billion worth. And that's basically the premise of the movie. So let's talk about the things that I liked. I really enjoyed Tom Holland, as I said, bringing in a lot of fire, bringing in a lot of passion to play this role, and he does it well. I mean, he's in fantastic shape. We see a number of shirtless scenes, but he also delivers these emotional beats really well when he's talking about his brother, when he's talking about his life, when he's talking about his past. Overall, I think Sophia Ali does a nice job as Chloe Fraser as well, but they give you almost no backstory with her. I think there's one scene where she explains her background, the stuff with her father and what have you. Braddock here, Tati Gabrielle, I think does a nice job with Braddock, although at times slides into the let me just stare, and my staring is my acting. Mark Wahlberg does a nice job with Sullivan. It may not be the Sullivan or the Sully that you want to see, but I think he does deliver a good performance here. He doesn't 100% want to hand the torch over to Tom Holland. You can tell there's still a little bit of ego and pride, professional ego and pride, both as Sullivan to Nathan Drake, but also I think as Mark Wahlberg to Tom Holland, that comes through when you're watching the movie. And Antonio Banderas, I think Banderas does a fantastic job in the film for the things that he's asked to do, but it's not anything you haven't seen before from Antonio. And the action sequences, I think Ruben Fleischer's direction here is absolutely quick. The pace is good. We're going from place to place. We're getting the information that we need. And there are a couple of action sequences that are absolutely incredible. Certainly the cargo one that you see teased in the trailers. And then that final action sequence, holy Mary, that is a fantastic action sequence with the two ships that actually lives up to its billing. It's almost worth the price of admission itself. And I also think Ruben Fleischer's direction here and some of the more tender moments, some of the more kind of open moments or vulnerable moments rather with these characters, I think they really work with what Ruben does with the camera and what he's trying to do with the framing. I think he does a nice job directing this movie, to be honest with you. Now, some of the things that I don't like. Unfortunately, I think the chemistry between Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland is forced more often than it's not. There are moments where it works. Certainly, there's some exchanges that are funny. I found myself laughing. Certainly, the first half an hour of the movie had a few laughs for me, and I enjoyed that. But the chemistry itself starts to wear thin as the adventure continues. It's presented in a way where they have a relationship that they haven't established yet, but they're making jokes with each other as if they've already established the relationship. And I think it's because the movie doesn't know if it wants to focus solely on Nathan or if it wants to give Sully some time as well. And Sully becomes at times like just a witness to all of this instead of being a participant. And that feels odd the way they presented him as this guy who knows all this stuff, really knowledgeable. He can get in and out of situations and he does whatever it takes to survive, to be a guy who kind of sits on the sidelines at times and is yelling at everybody about what to do. It just seems a bit weird for me. So I feel the film kind of loses itself a little bit when it gets into these treasure hunting / action scenes. And that leads me to the second thing that I didn't like about the movie, and that's the lack of character development. Certainly, we get a lot with Nathan Drake. We get to know about his backstory, as I mentioned. We get to know about what drives him. We get to see certain things that he has of his brother. Certainly, there's a ring here that he has of his brother. That's really important. And certainly we get a lot of time kind of figuring out and seeing what this relationship is with his brother. But we don't get much with Sully. We don't get much of the background. Yes, there's exposition that is spoken by people, but we don't get much of the background with Sully that we'd like to get. Understand the connection, understand the drive, understand why he's in this position that he's in. But there's just not enough here for me to care about Sullivan as a character. I think the film kind of defaults to Mark Wahlberg's natural charm or charisma or energy to do the work for you rather than the script. I also think Chloe Frazier is very underdeveloped, and Braddock is especially underdeveloped. Look, Tati Gabrielle is a presence on screen. Absolutely can't deny that, but give her something more to do. What is driving her? What's the impetus? We hear about a past relationship. We want to see what more there is here. She's presented as a two-dimensional person, and so is Chloe for the most part. And so we just want a little more here. There seems to be a lack of chemistry or a lack of character development with all these people when they interact with each other. And Banderas, we get a little more with Banderas, so at least there's some background, there's some familial stuff, some family issues that are going on, but there's just not enough there so that when certain things start to happen that he's a part of, we don't feel the menace of him as the antagonist permeating through the scenes and adding to the danger. And so that kind of bothered me as I was watching the movie overall. And some of the script, I think it just kind of loses its way a little bit. And it's ironic. It's when we go on the adventure scenes that it kind of loses its way, whereas the more kind of conversational moments work a little bit better than the actual action scenes and the treasure hunting. And that's the third thing that I will say I didn't like about the movie. The treasure hunting stuff at times feels convenient, plot device convenient. It doesn't have that magic. You know, when you're treasure hunting or going after something, there has to be a wonder or a magic to it, and the film doesn't get there. When they're discovering these artifacts or discovering these hidden passageways or places that haven't been seen in hundreds of years, there isn't enough of the magic there to kind of take you through, and it does feel convenient, at times a bit easy. And instead of feeling the drama and the tension and the worry or the concern that if they're going to get it or not get it, as we would feel in an Indiana Jones movie or any of these other treasure hunting movies that work, it doesn't quite get there. And I think that kind of it does damage to the film. So overall, I give the film 3 cowboy hats out of 5 cowboy hats. It's certainly not an unenjoyable time in the theater, but unfortunately, there's just not enough there to enjoy and feel caught up in and feel the magic of to keep you kind of fully paying attention to what's happening. It's a fine action movie anchored by a damn good performance by Tom Holland. There's laughs, some fun, and a couple of really thrilling action sequences. But as I said, the chemistry with Wahlberg is mostly forced. The character development is weak, and the treasure hunting scenes are missing that magic. All right, that's my overall review for Uncharted. If you go see it this weekend, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of this review in the comment section below as well. Remember to hit a like on this video and share it on your social media. Because when you share it on your social media, you're telling your friends and family, hey, the Outlaw Nation is a cool place to come and hang out and get some awesome content like reviews, trailer reactions, the Geek Buddies, the Jedi Way, the John and Wendy Show, Game Time, Strong Style, all that stuff happening. The Outlaw Nation Show, the flagship show, happening here on the Outlaw Nation. And maybe they'll subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to subscribe. Subscribe down below and hit that bell button. When you subscribe and hit that bell button, then you'll get notified when we're dropping all the content we do on here. And if you want to follow me on Twitch, head on over to Twitch if you're a Twitch person. The Outlaw Nation, all one one word there. And if you want to support everything we're doing here on the Outlaw Nation, help us book guests, help us get, higher profile people involved, well, then head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/John Rocha. Support us at whatever tier you feel comfortable with and get benefits for being a member of the Outlaw Nation Patreon. All right, take care of yourselves, be well, and I'll talk to you next time with another non-spoiler review here on the Outlaw Nation.